In surveys, the how often relates to mode. So when we wonder about how to do a data collection, how to plan moving forward, one key question at the beginning is which mode of data collection should be used. We'll introduce here a few different modes and some thoughts on selecting a mode and how these different modes can affect survey error or need to be mixed. Some of this will be discussed in more detail in our course on data collection, face-to-face, web and telephone. Here it's just a broad overview so that you know what's going on in that particular course. So when we think about data collection, we think about method or mode as having one of the highest impact decisions that you make when you plan your research design. Highest impact because it's heavily related to any error in the data collection and any cost. It can be very cheap to just ask whoever is available or to just collect data on the web from whoever is posting something on the web. But that does not at all mean that you have the right quality of your data to make the kind of analyses that you want to do. So the decision on which mode to pick, which data source to pick, with methods of data collection use should be guided by theory and empirical evidence. Hence the course I just mentioned, data collection, online, telephone, and face-to-face. Now the question is, what does mode really mean? Traditionally, mode was restricted to face-to-face or personal visit surveys, mail or postal surveys, and then later on, telephone surveys. In recent years, there's a wide variety of additional modes that came to pass. Of course, that has something to do with the transition from paper to computing. You still see in this graph that Mick Cooper and Fred Conrad traditionally use in their course on data collection that we have mail, telephone, and face-to-face surveys, but with the computer assistedness, they span across a wide variety of formats. Let's look at mail. In principle, mail, self-administered and writing something, you could, in a computerized format, send a disk by mail. You can send your survey over email or program it as a web instrument. Likewise, with the telephone, you can still have a person calling and conducting a computer-aided telephone interview. That's the acronym CATI. Or you could go all the way in the automation and have an interactive voice that is recorded in response to the entries that someone gives on the phone. And by now, many of us have seen this. Large companies, airlines, even offices often do that. Likewise, on face-to-face, traditionally you would have an interviewer come with a questionnaire to be filled out, either administered through the interview or maybe even self-administered, but the interviewer is still present. And if you add a computer to that mix, then you have a computer-aided personal interview copy, very traditional. But there are other formats too. You could have the interviewer visiting the respondents and having them hand over a laptop to the respondent, putting headphones on the respondent's ear, and have what's called an audio CASI, an audio-assisted, computer-assisted self-interview. Same with the video. The acronyms that you saw on the previous table are listed again here so that you know what they mean. There are many more appearing faster than we can record these classes. But it's always good to sort of think was like, okay, is there an interviewer involved or not? And what is the medium? Is this plain paper? Is there computer involved or something else? And because, these groupings, they do have an effect on cost and errors, and the course on the different modes of data collection and how to do those data collections will give you more insights into this. Spanning across the landscape, there are of course many more emerging modes that can be of interest to you. One is anything that has to do with mobile web data collection. So increasingly you see browser-based applications, self-administered questionnaires that are somehow part of a mobile device that people carry with them. Surveys have been done via text or SMS messages. They are also self-administered usually, although, if there's an interview on the other side, it is one form of interviewer-administered mode. But then there are also interesting other elements, like interviews via Skype or Google Hangout, FaceTime, any of these products that are available for video conferencing. And even virtual interviewers is an emerging mode that Fred Conrad is doing research with at the University of Michigan, where computer animated interviewers work as agents in this interview.